Good evening everyone and welcome back to the TFR eSports YouTube channel. And today we are at the British Grand Prix. We're here at the home of racing. It's Silverstone in reverse. I'm joined tonight by Hyper as always. Thank you for joining me again, Hyper.
Yeah, of course.
And this should be a very interesting race. We've just come off the back of the F2 race here this evening. Lots of things to go through, I'm sure, in that race. But makes good reading for F1, which should also be an interesting thing to watch. We're going to hop on board straight away with Armady, your championship leader, who is absolutely running away with this championship at the moment, it must be said. Despite finishing second at Monaco last week, he is still dominating, definitely the fastest driver in the league, in the F1 division so far this season, without a doubt, on a consistent basis, and he's reaped the rewards for that. So Hyper, thanks for joining me again. We'll just quickly touch on F2. How'd that go for you?
um, it went okay at the start. Well, mainly halfway through the start, it didn't go so well. I started off pretty well. I got a better start than Harry, man, next to me, slightly. And from there, I had a little look down the inside, came out through the first corner where, unfortunately, I was pitted. I was pitted by my own teammate, so that's not great. But later on into the race, I was on soft to start off with, and then I boxed halfway through for hards, which turns out was the better call at the end of the day. I boxed, and that left me out in P12, I believe, to P14, somewhere in that region. And I fought my way up back into third in the end, so this race could be quite reliant on the pits.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was definitely one of those where you can get ahead on strategy. There was plenty of drama, and it's one of those tracks as well where there's not really that many overtaking opportunities, unlike regular Silverstone where there's quite a few. This track doesn't really encourage it. It is very much DRS and dirty air, and that's about it. So it's a difficult one for those cars who are fighting in packs, and maybe those cars that are trailing a few cars in front. So we're on board with Imad here for his first flying lap of the session. We'll get some telemetry up as always. And obviously, like I said, your championship leader at the moment in the F1 division is Imad, and he is leading by an absolute staunching margin this season. I think he's on something crazy like 139 points. I'll just get my statistics up. Yeah, he's having a great season, Hyper, isn't he? Well, Hyper, I think, is a little bit tied up there at the moment, but yeah, he's having a great season. So I'm just checking my statistics very quickly, if I can find them. It's worth noting that Imad has set the fastest time so far. The only car to set a time 126.994, which is a whole 3 seconds clear of anything that was set in the F2 division, despite. But that is worth noting that we did actually have some rain at the start of F2 qualifying. I'm just having a look at my statistics here, wherever they've gone. I'll find them in a minute.
I was under the impression that during our qualifying session we'd have that little bit of leeway before the actual.
Yeah, I think it was because the conditions were overcast to light rain. So obviously overcast can go straight into light rain. You don't have to transition for any other weather first. So, but those cars that came out the pits like straight away, really gathered rewards
Oh
in
wow!
that. Yeah, and we got a new fastest now. It's a 126.6 from Emir Aslan there, one of the Turkish boys who's joined the TFR eSports Racing League for this season, and they're quick lads, these Turkish boys, and they're giving Imad a run for his money in the races they have partaken in. But like I was saying, yeah, I think in our session the rain came so early on because it was just overcast to light rain. But those cars that did come out the pits like straight away as soon as the session started, reap the rewards for it, because I came out just a few cars behind, which went around about 30 seconds behind the car in front, and you know, I lost a whole 2 seconds for it because of that little bit of extra rain that was on the circuit compared to the cars in front of me. So that was crucially important. I don't think we're expecting any rain here in qualifying for the F1 division. I am just checking the statistics here, and what I can see is that Imadi is currently sitting on 139 points, and he has almost double the amount of points of second and third place Epic Animal and Bora Alcan have combined. They have a combined 162 points, and Imadi is on 139. So if he wins here today, he will be massively at the front of the pack. We're going to try and hop on board with somebody who's actually on a lap here, and we're going to jump on board with Ultimate Stan, who's currently in Sector 3 and is on a fast lap, but it's only a 127.9 for Ultimate Stan there. And
Imadi's on the lap again.
yeah, let's just have a look at Imadi as he's going to try and take back pole position. So he's in Sector 2, he's 2/10 down, 4/10 down on his original time, and that at the moment puts him comfortably on pole position. Let's just have a look and see what else he can do here as he winds through the rest of the circuit into Sector 3 now, coming up to the final couple of corners. Into that final corner now, taking a lot of curb on entry, and it's a 126.5, a whole 10th clear of this Red Bull teammate Emir Arslan, who is set at 126.6. So yeah, as I was saying before, Hyper, I don't know whether you heard, Imadi having a great season. What do you expect from him today?
I expect some pretty good things. Obviously, he's never disappointed us in the past, has he? He's shown this season so far how pacey he can really be, and obviously on a track like this, it's quite unpredictable. With, say for example, it's nowhere near as unpredictable as Monaco last week, with obviously the mandatory 2 pit stop and things like that. But obviously at the same time, people could choose different strategies. We also have a sprint race as well for the F1 division, which could mix things up as well with the points-wise anyway. Obviously, I'm not too sure anyone is going to catch Imadi because of his performance so far this season, but it can still mix things up.
Yeah, apologies, I forgot to mention that this is actually sprint qualifying. So this is the qualifying for the sprint session, which we will have first, and then we'll have a full qualifying and a full race afterwards. So a 9-lap sprint, and I think it's a 22-lap race from memory, but I'm not entirely, I can't be absolutely sure on that. But so Imadi, your pole sitter at the moment for sprint qualifying. We'll just try and hop on board with somebody who's on a lap, and we'll hop on board with Phantom Fox, who's up on his original time of 10th up as he comes through Sector 2. That Ferrari looking pretty pacey.
He's invalidated.
He's invalidated his lap. That's a shame for him.
CJ's on an outlap.
Let's just have a look at CJ now. CJ having a bit of a horrible season so far, really. He currently sits lower down the standings. He sits down in 10th. That's not too bad. Out of 26 drivers, he's 10th. He currently sits on a grand total of 37 points, which isn't too bad. Obviously, there is a lot of quick drivers in this league. But he hasn't had the rubber to green for a lot of this season. He has been involved in some really scruffy incidents with people, and unfortunately has been quite unfortunate in areas. So let's hope that he can put in a good lap here and get himself towards the top of the order for the sprint as he comes through Sector 1 now. We have to joust in and punch in a nice Sector 1 time. 27 seconds through Sector 1. As he flies through Sector 2, takes a lot of curb there, bounces around on the circuit, but managed to gather it back up and get his foot back on that loud pedal as they come down to reverse cops here, which is a very difficult corner in dirty air, but lots of clean air here in qualifying to help him through there. Opens the DRS flap, which is a new DRS zone for the reverse layout, and then into this tricky left-hander. We've got to keep it nice and tight on the inside, but try not to lose too much speed through it as he exits out onto the straight here, as he come into that right-handed kink at the end of it. It's not a particularly nice corner, this one. You've got to shift there and then shift down again as you come into the tight right-hander. Compose the car, get it nice and straight as you come into the left, and then as you wind round to the final two corners, you can get a foot flat to the floor. Don't even think about lifting on a qualifying lap. You just whip it round, get nice and close to that apex, and that is a 127.6. So round about 1.1 seconds off of pole, but 10th place in the grid. That could be some half-decent points for CJ, or some points in the sprint race so far. Well, how much do you think the sprint weekend has an impact on the overall race hyper? Because obviously they've got two races. Obviously the F1 division run 50% races, whereas F2 run 35%. Do you think it takes a bit more out of the driver? Do you think that it gives them a bit more chance to warm up, so in the race they're sort of more on their A game and you see some like sort of true pace? What do you make of it?
Well, obviously, during an actual race, we've got a lot more laps to think about the moves that we're making and obviously strategies. Whereas with a sprint race, we don't need to pit during a sprint race, but we've also got, for example, in this situation, we've got under half the amount of laps that there is for the actual full race in total. So there's a lot more aggression on track. I've found as well in F2. There's a lot more tense situations, and there's a lot less patience as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to hop on board. We're going to try and hop on board with the driver who's on an out lap here, so we can watch their full lap. We'll hop on board with Phantom Fox, who's just winding around the final few corners now as Kevin Cowell retires from the session, only on a 128 dead. So he's struggling in that Aston Martin. And we'll hop on board with the Ferrari Phantom Fox here, who comes around the final quarter to start his flying lap. So into the first corner here. It's a tricky one, this one as well, because you've got to shift at it, and oh, he's immediately invalidated. Smashed through the brake board as well, which is not going to aid some of those drivers who race without the racing line and race with assists off. And that was his final chance to get a lap in as well, it's worth noting. Phantom Fox. The session has ended here. And Emir Aslan has gone back on to pole position, and Imadi is knocked all the way down to 4th. He is on a 126.5 currently, a whole 5/10 off pole, but he's going to wind around these final few corners now as he's in sector 3. I have no idea what sort of time he's got at the moment. Let's just see as he's about to cross the line. Can he improve? It's a 125.8. He's into the 25s. The only driver to do it in this session. 2/10 clear of his teammate in second place. And a whole 5/10 clear of third place as well. So a stellar lap there from Imadi, just as it was needed. Let's hop on board with the next car to cross the line, which is probably going to be Bor Alkan here. He's on a 126.9 at the moment. His teammate Karim goes in front of him, so does Wes. What can PSL Bor Alkan do here? He winds around the final couple of corners, and it's a 125.9. He puts himself on the second row, up into third position, and literally 300ths of a second off of second place there. So very tidy lap as well from Bor Alkan. It's so tight at the top of that timing board, Hyper. Not much to separate them.
No, not much at all. Obviously, we saw last week in Monaco, we saw D slightly lacking compared to his teammate. And obviously this week he's come back and reminded the grid of his pace and his skill around this circuit and this championship as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a D there, stamping his authority on the reverse Silverstone circuit. Obviously didn't really stand a chance in Monaco last week after we had that reserve driver pop in and just basically set the second fastest Monaco driver on F125 just popped in for a race, dominated the race, and has cashed back out again. So Imadi obviously had to take a week off winning last week, not by fault of his own, but is back on it this week and back on pole position for the sprint race here in the F1 division. I can't wait to watch what's going to happen here, because F2 was such it was calamitous, really, the amount of accidents and bits and pieces that we saw. And because there's not much room for racing on this circuit, not much at all. It's very tight, run a lot of corners. There's lots of corners where you can stick your nose up the inside, think there's space, and all of a sudden the space is gone, and that's it. You get clipped and you're spinning around. So it's a very tricky circuit to overtake on. But we're going to see, as Imadi, I've just noticed, has pretty much all the Turks behind him. 4 out of the 5 Turks on the grid, all with all behind Imad. So if they group together, they may be able to get in. But we'll watch as the race start. It's just loading up here, just moments away from race start here at Silverstone. Should be a good one. But Imad on pole position for this sprint race. Let's see if he can make something happen. So just moments away now. We're just waiting in the pit lane, waiting for the cars to line up on that grid. Imad holding pole position for this race. He's got 4 Turkish drivers behind him who joined us at the start of this season, have shown true pace when they have been able to race so far. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen here as we wait for lights out.
I think it's going to be very interesting as well, because obviously around this circuit, the normal way that there's a lot of leeway for a mistake, and there's also quite a high chance that you could overtake during the first few corners if the pole sitter makes a mistake. Whereas backwards, there's absolutely no chance you're getting past in the first few corners without having a collision.
Yeah, it's not a great track in reverse, as we mentioned before, and I think you're absolutely right there, Hyper, with what you said. It is, you know, if the lead car makes a mistake here, as we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And it's pedal to the metal here at the Silverstone sprint race in the TFR eSports F1 division. Imad gets away quickly and gets straight into the, carries his lead into the first corner. There's a couple of cars gone wide there. There's a few cars gone wide. I think there was a Haas and some McLarens out wide there. But Imad still leads this race. 4/10 clear of the Haas, who's jumped the other Red Bull at the start of this race. And they're already 1.4 seconds clear of Epic the Animal, who sits down in 4th position. Gagli not far behind him. And Bora Alkan, who's been knocked down a couple of spots as well. Just 4/10 off of him. What a start to this race already as we wind into Beckett's and Maggots in reverse here. And coming into reverse Cops as well. I'd be interested to see how these F1 drivers crack on around Cops with the dirty air on this first lap. As Mustafa closely follows Imad into Cops. Imad going to be fine with the clean air. The Haas keeps it within the line. So does the Red Bull, so does the Ferrari, so does the RB. And there's a couple of cars there that have gone wide. There's a McLaren and an Alpine, I think, that went onto the grass. What a messy start to the race there, Hyper, as we'll hop back on board with our leaders as we fly through and back onto this straight here as we look to wind up this first lap pretty much. What a start to the race.
Oh, I've just seen both the Alpines there come off slightly. I'm personally watching this midfield because there is a massive scrap between, I think, from around about 6th all the way down from 13. All of these drivers are having a massive scrap. We saw at the start the top 4, I believe, just took off, and the rest were having a massive we're in like a big bundle towards the 3rd corner.
Yeah, we're just on board with CJH at the moment. It's right in the middle of that midfield battle. Cars attacking each other all over the place, and the thing, they get the feel that the pace is so evenly matched here in the midfield. As CJH has just bumped over the curb and been overtaken, but the pace is so evenly matched in the middle, in the mid-pack here, that the race is on between all of them. They're all trying to get each other all the time. As CJH bumped down to 13th now, we'll go further up the grid towards Phantom Fox, who's coming into Beckett's and Maggots now. See, normally Maggots and Beckett's, we are in Silverstone in reverse here. So swap them the other way around. It's Beckett's and Maggots as we come into reverse Cops. And everyone seems to manage to keep himself on the track that time. That is a difficult corner with dirty air, isn't it, Hyper? With dirty air, it's really difficult to keep the car within the white lines and keep it on the track. As we've got a retirement already, one of the kicks Albers, Batuan Olshan has retired from the session. So just 17 runners here in the sprint race. Kevin Cow sitting dead last at the moment with Ultimate Stan. It's 4/10 ahead of him. CJ just 3rd from bottom, 2nd from bottom there. 2/10 clear of 16th place. But we're on board with our leader from the very beginning, Imad here, who's only 3/10 clear after what looked to be a very good start. He's not actually cleared the Haas that much, and the Haas has actually set, the Red Bull behind the Haas has actually set the fastest lap. So Imad struggling for pace out front there at the moment, but it's just pulled away on the exit of the first corner complex and winds back round onto that hanger straight. It's action-packed. 3 laps out of the 9 gone already. Imad still your leader, and we'll stay on board with this battle for the lead, as I think is going to heat up as the race goes on. Usually these boys like to sit behind each other and wait for the opportune moment, but they might have to make moves quickly in this sprint if they want to maximise their points. Imad into Cops, and the Haas follows closely in behind, and the Red Bull behind the Haas goes onto the grass, so it seems to have managed to keep his pace coming along the straight here. So they get the benefit of DRS, Imad doesn't. Imad looking very comfortable out in front at the moment, as he's 2 tenths down on his best sector 1 time, and the Haas is closing in, but can't quite get enough speed to make the overtake on the Red Bull, as the other Red Bull closing up to the back of the Haas. Can Emir here help his teammate Imad out and try and get a move done on the Haas before the Haas can make a move on the Red Bull, Hyper?
I was just thinking about that. If Imad could just possibly slow him down a little bit, especially through these next few corners, it could be really interesting between Emir and that Haas driver there.
Yeah, we're just going to keep on board with them just for a moment. We'll hop on board with Emir, because I think we're going to get a better view of the action. He seems to be roundabout across the course of a lap closer to the Haas than the Haas is to Imad. We'll hop on board with him down the straight again here. Although Imad does look vulnerable to the DRS and ERS usage down this back straight, but manages to hold him off again through Beckett's maggots, as the animal just dropping out of that top 3, but is clear of 5th place as well, so he may pick up some good points in that Ferrari. Epic. But it's your championship leader that still leads the race, closely followed by Mustafa and closely followed by Emir as well. I've got to say that the drivers out in front in the F1 division, throughout this season so far, I've been very tidy. As I think we've got an off. It's an Aston Martin there that's gone off the track, and it's the Aston Martin of B29 who's gone into the gravel and has dropped all the way down to 16th place. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but he's down right into dead last now. It's unfortunate for him, who had such a good race last time out in Monaco. Kept it pretty tidy throughout the whole race. He's into the gravel there, and unfortunately missed out on some positions, as we're back on board with our leader Imad, who seems to be, gradually opening up that gap. Not too much, still 4 tenths clear, but is sort of teetering towards the 5 tenths mark, or drops us 3 tenths there. As the Haas gets a lot of ground made up there under braking, just seems to lose out on the exit of that first corner complex as they come round back up into the hangar straight, and they'll get another dose of DRS here. The Haas and the Red Bull behind Imad. The Haas bearing down the Red Bull again, but just can't get close enough. Imad looking very quick again, and looking like he's got this one in the bag again. Just unless they can pull out the stops, unless Mustafa can pull out the stops in the Haas behind. Hyper, what do you make of the race so far?
It's been very interesting so far. I believe we're about to see that Williams. I'd be very surprised if we don't see that Williams down in 17th retire right now, because I'd find it very surprising that someone's boxing on a 9-lap race. But obviously it's been very interesting. We've seen many position changes, but obviously as per usual we see Imad just seems very comfortable out in front right now. He's not that far out, mind.
We do have a Mercedes that's just gone off the track. Sorry to interrupt, Hyper, but we do have the Mercedes of Wes down to 15th. He's just gone off the track. He's re-entered, so he's come off the track as well. A few cars struggling to keep it within the white lines and on the track surfaces. Ultimate Stan awarded a 10-second time penalty in the Alpine, along with Besteris, who's also got a 3-second time penalty as well. So sorry, Hyper, as you were saying, I didn't mean to interrupt, mate.
Yeah, of course, it's all right. Obviously, we've just seen the, as you just mentioned, with the Alpine getting a penalty. We've seen errors as well. If I could just check my details right now, he's 3.6 behind Karem in front, so obviously he is out of DRS, but he has got CJ and the Alpine behind him, and he's only half a second behind him, so that could be quite interesting for CJ, especially because that Sauber does have a penalty.
Yes, CJ could be bumped up to 11th if he can stick within here towards the end. I think he's got a bit of catching up to do to catch up with Karem, who's a whole nearly 4 seconds in front of Besteris at the moment. But if you just have a look at the track map very quickly, it's displaying on stream. Look at the gap between the leaders and then the McLaren behind to the other McLaren in 10th, and then look at the gap from the McLaren to the Sauber. The field is so spread out into chunks at the moment. You've got a battle for the top, for first place, which is being battled out between the top 3 at the moment, and then you've got this huge battle of sort of seven cars between the 2 McLarens, all battling it out for spots within that top 10. And then we've got the Sauber, who seems to be holding up the back of the pack there, all the way down to the Mercedes of Wes. And yeah, it's very spread out here. So maybe what we're seeing is different categories of pace in the sprint races. We're on lap 7 and 9. Imadi still your leader and is now 5/10 clear of the Haas behind, even further apart than he was before, as the Haas will bear down on the Red Bull once more and can't quite make up the distance in order to make the overtake happen. Tiamat Bira has been awarded a penalty. Let's just hop on more detail up and see what he's been awarded. 3 seconds for Tiamat Bira, so that currently will knock him down to 10th position, and if it stays as it is. So,
ironically enough,
yep.
We can see at the front we've got obviously Imadi and Amir in first and third, holding off a Haas. We've got the exact situation with Red Bull's junior team as well, with Kizzy and Gagli. They've got the other Haas pinned down in 7th.
Yeah, obviously Helmut Marko must be on the phone there trying to pull the strings for the Red Bull and RB teams, but no, I did notice actually that Imadi, who's still the leader, Mustafa, sorry, who was following the leader, did have a bit of a mess up on the throttle through one of the sections there, and missed out on the traction to catch up to Imadi through there, and had a bit of a moment. And the Red Bull looked Red Bull behind him looked very close. So that has now appeared to have dropped back, and I mean, being in that much dirty air for this amount of time must be damaging his tyres. And I think Imadi might end up the winner out of this, because if he can keep those cars behind for the whole race, their tyres are going to be shot to bits compared to his in the clean air by the end of it. So still Imadi just 3/10 in front of second place. Second place just 4/10 ahead of third place, and then fourth place is a whole 4.5 seconds behind, with Epic the Animal 6/10 behind him. So within DRS still. It's all counting down towards this final lap here on lap 8 out of 9. Imadi, your championship leader, still leading here in the Silverstone reverse sprint. The Scotsman, or the Flying Scotsman, as we're going to call him from now on, I think, as he is flying here again today, as Motu Solva goes fastest in the sprint, which I don't think you get a point for in the sprint, but during the race. He goes on a 1:27. Imadi rounds the final few corners now as he heads onto the last lap, and that Haas looks closer than it ever has done before. He has a bit of a moment there and loses a bit of time, just 5/10 behind now rather than 3 like he was, and the Red Bull just 3/10 off the Haas. So can the Red Bull jump the Haas right at the very end here? Imadi gonna have to show off all that pace if he wants to win the race here. The Haas closing back in on the Red Bull again loses out on the traction. It looks like no, 3/10 behind as they come down onto the hangar straight. Is he close enough to make a move here, Hyper? He'll have to dump all that ERS and all that DRS in order to get close to the Red Bull. Will he be close enough? He's going to shift to the inside. The Red Bull gives him a squeeze. As right by side through Beckett and Maggotts, and the Haas gets in front and stays in front. What a move there. Round the outside of Beckett's, on the inside of Maggotts. And now we'll go into Cops in the lead. Left it to the last minute. And Imadi, the Flying Scotsman, has been upheld there by the Haas. And the Red Bulls
can he get him again,
have to settle for first and second. There's almost contact! And Imadi goes crashing off into the gravel. What a mistake from the Haas and the Red Bull there. Just couldn't keep out of each other's way. And Imadi ends up in the barrier, down into 9th position. 10th now, as the Haas will take the lead and lead us around the final couple of corners. Amir there I'm not sure what's going to come of that post-race, but Amir will take the checker flag first by the looks of it, unless he has a bit of a moment and that Red Bull can snatch the pace off him. But he comes around the final corners here, foot flat to the throttle, and across the line goes Mustafa there as he takes the win, with Amir following closely behind, and Bora Alkan, the three Turks on the podium here in Britain. Epic the Animal in 4th, Gagri in 5th, Kizzy in 6th, Phantom in 7th, Tierman Bira in 8th, Karem in 9th, Imadi a solemn 10th in the end with no end plates on his front wing, unfortunately. CJ finishes 11th, just 1 place behind Imadi. Who thought we'd ever be saying that? What a finish to that race that was. What a finish. Hyper, your thoughts on that moment?
I'm just having to look back with this incident between the Red Bull and the Haas there, because obviously in the moment I was a little bit starstruck, and it looks as if Imadi's gone to go around the outside. That Haas has snapped round to the outside a little bit, and in obviously a desperate attempt to move out of the way, Imadi's flicked his wheel and then maybe a little bit too much, and he's just lost traction under that Red Bull there, and obviously it's ended out the way it has. It's very unfortunate.
I mean, they did so well to go wheel to wheel round Beckett's and Maggots, and then, round Cops, Imadi made a bit of time up, and I'm just having a look at the incident now on the replay. Just bear with me a second, I'm just getting to the moment. He goes round the outside of the corner just before Stowe, I believe it is, and I think they just get tangled up. I think, to me, at first glance, that looks like a racing incident. They just both make contact, and it's unfortunate really, because Imadi looks like he's going to save it, and then comes back into the Haas, and just collides with it. It just knocks him off the circuit and into the tyre barrier. It's really unfortunate there for Imadi, who drove pretty much a flawless race up until that point. So the championship leader losing out on points there in the sprint race here in Silverstone. Is this the start of the season starting to light up and some extra drivers gaining some points, Hyper?
I think it could be very interesting. Obviously, Imadi's put himself in a very good position now, because fortunately for him, he can afford to make mistakes like that. Due to the amount of points he has ahead, obviously it wouldn't be such a very good day for Red Bull's bank account. But obviously, towards his championship-wise, I don't really think it could have much of an effect for him.
We'll have to wait and see. I mean, he's going to have to pick himself up very quickly here as we go into the 18-minute long qualifying here for the full 50% Grand Prix. But yeah, what a moment right at the end there. They did leave it. What a blockbuster finish there in the F1 sprint. What a moment. What a moment. We're going to have to just recompose ourselves as we're about to go back into qualifying here for the main race. But what a moment. They did leave the action to the very last moment there on the last lap. And in the end, it was Mustafa who took the win there, and he'll be hoping that he can put that Haas somewhere towards the front again and go wheel to wheel with Imadi, because what does that do to a driver when you're in that sort of position? I'm thinking to real life here, specifically with a pairing like maybe Lando Norris and Max Verstappen, where Norris has come to blows with Verstappen multiple times and is now worried, fearful of going wheel to wheel with Verstappen. When that sort of thing happens, are you that little bit more cautious when coming up around those sort of people? What's your thinking there, Hyper? Okay,
Sorry, I didn't catch that. Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, no, I was just saying, I'm just thinking of real life, with drivers like Norris, when he comes up against Verstappen, and obviously he's come to blows with Verstappen multiple times, and obviously, that's affected his confidence when racing Verstappen, because he's not quite sure what he's going to do. With the moment we've just seen there, will Imadi be reluctant to go wheel to wheel with Verstappen now? Will he err on the side of caution? What's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, to be fair, if I was in the position of the Haas there, I would be quite nervous, because obviously with a driver of his reputation and the dominance he's shown this season, obviously you don't really know the kinds of moves and like the kinds of incidents that he's willing to put himself through to get himself and bank himself some more points. Because obviously, as we know, whether it's real life or whether it's in league racing, it takes. There's many factors to becoming a champion. You've got to be a special kind of breed, if you like, because obviously the average driver isn't always going to have what it takes to become a champion.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I, for Imadi, that I think the point is here. Nobody this season has really been close enough to D to go wheel to wheel with him. And all of a sudden, somebody's come wheel to wheel with him, and it's not ended well for him. And he's going to have to work on that wheel to wheel racing, I think. If he, especially here, where he's got some drivers that are close pace-wise to him, if he wants to have a chance of winning here in the full Grand Prix. As we're on board with B29, who's going to be the first fast lap runner here at Silverstone in reverse for the full qualifying. In that Aston Martin, DRS flap open down the hangar straight as he will dive into Beckett's and Maggots. Looks pacey so far. Let's get some telemetry up. So I always forget to do that. Here we are, lap data. There we are. So coming through sector 2 now, about to go through Cops in reverse, and flies around there, keeps it out the grass, nice and tidy from B29. As we wind down into this tricky section now, the left-hander keeps it nice and tight towards the lines. Lots of pace though through there, and then you want to be nice and speedy on the exit, not take too much curb. Beautiful from B29, nice and clean so far. What can he do? This sector here, nice and late on the brakes from B29. He's nice and tight over the apex, swings back round wide, and then onto the final sector here, winding around the last few corners. He's going to be setting our base time here in qualifying. It was a 1:25 that put the car on pole, and it's a 1:26.8, so relatively quick from B29. Not quite into the 1:25s like we were in the sprint qualifying, but nonetheless a very tidy lap to get us beginning. I think it was Imadi who was out next, so we'll just hop on board with him very quickly. He's winding around the final few corners. Bit of a lock up there from Imadi. I'm sure that would have cost him some time as he winds through sector 3 now. He's currently just coming out and onto these final couple of corners. Team and Beerus, it's a 1:30, so hold 2 seconds off of B29, but Imadi goes 1:26.3, 5/10 clear of B29, and that I think is going to be the time to beat really in this session, although we have seen Imadi go into the 1:25s in the sprint qualifying, so there will be some more times to come in, I'm sure, from him, but that is the first time to beat for the Turkish lads that were not too far behind him in the sprint qualifying as well. So Hyper, do you think that moment will affect D's confidence going into the Grand Prix?
I don't think it will all round, because obviously that comes into one of the factors of becoming a champion. You need to be able to have the mindset and the patience and the regulation to be able to think, okay, that's happened. What can I do to change that and make sure that doesn't happen next time? And obviously, I don't think it will all round affect his confidence towards fighting other drivers or on track in general. But I think he's sort of woken up now and realised, okay, there are a few people around this track that are my pace. I might want to brush up the dust of my battling.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right there. I think he is a champion. He's won here in TFR before. He's our championship leader by a country mile. Like you say, he can afford to drop a few points, but he's going to have to pick himself back up again here very quickly, and like you say, dust off them moves to get back on the saddle and hopefully win the full race here. I think what we saw from D, in all honesty, was a bit of desperation. He'd led the whole race, he'd driven pretty flawlessly up to that point, and he was overtaken, and there was just a bit of desperation to get back into the lead before the end of the lap, because obviously it's quite late in the day by the time that he'd given the lead away. So hopefully he's not put in that position again, but anything can happen. This is why we love F1. This is why we love the TFR eSports League, I suppose. F1 providing as much entertainment so far as the F2 race, by the looks of it. So only 5 times on the board at the moment. Only 3 drivers of those 5 times actually able to get into the 126, into the Moto Solver. not very far off Imadi's full lap time, as Imadi's on a second lap now, coming through sector 2. And rounds back onto the straight here as he approaches sector 3. So, yeah, like I say, Motusova not too far behind Imadi's first time there. B29 only 3/10 off Imadi's first time. So these F1 drivers are, you know, quickening up as we head through the qualifying session. There is a caution in sector 1. I believe that's just a slow car, maybe another pass. As Imadi rounds through sector 3 now. Through the final couple of corners, what can he set this time? It's a 1:26.1, so faster than his original time by 0.2 of a second, but still not in the 1:25s. We saw him get there in sprint qualifying for 1:25.8, and unfortunately not quite there just yet for him yet though. So let's hop on board with Epic Animal here. I'll see if he's on out that. And he was one of the quicker drivers in the sprint race. And it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. I also want to see how the Turkish lads get on as well, but they all seem to be in the pit at the moment as well. Just stay on board with that here as well. Do you want to talk us through his lap hyper when he's on it? You can give us a bit of insight into you know, what's required around each corner and so on. Bit of a wait from there. Yeah, he's just coming around the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight.
It does take a lot of grit to be able to throw that car around that corner. Obviously, as we're in reverse, you have to go a fair bit wide, and obviously you can go flat out through this corner as he does so perfectly. And as you obviously have to get the car slowed down, it's crucial to these last few corners because you can get a really good. You can get really good first two, but it only comes down to the final sector. And obviously with this final corners, you can go flat out. Oh, he's pitted.
I'm on board with Epic the Animal. I'm not sure who you're on board with there.
Oh, okay. Apologies.
He's
sorry.
Just
I was.
about to start his flying lap.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Yeah, he's just started his flying lap.
Right. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So as we come down to the first corner now, quickly into the second corner. Having to brake very abruptly, careful of the track limits, and obviously these sausage curbs as well can get you quite easily. Nice and wide on the left there. Obviously you have to show a little bit of mercy with this corner as the gravel is very, very close on the right hand side there. He handles that quite well. And obviously here we've got DRS, and obviously having to use in qualifying quite a lot of your ERS, not too much because obviously we need to keep in mind as we go through Beckett's and Maggots, obviously in reverse now. You have to show a little bit more comfort on the brake than what you would do normally, and obviously as we come through Cops backwards, we've got quite a lot of grass on the right hand side as we come through. Relatively flat out here. It's quite easy to make a mistake though as well. Now in reverse, and obviously as we come round hanging left here into this quite difficult corner, obviously we see a little bit of a lock up there as he does hug the inside line quite well there, as you quickly have to throw the car to the right hand side and carry it out nicely to the left. Obviously using your ERS, quite a lot here again, and throwing it round to the right hand side, hanging it out to the left flat out once again, get the car stopped down a few gears as he's done that quite well. Coming through the penultimate corner now, he's taken that relatively well, nice and wide line there, and obviously taking it through the final corner where you're flat out and to complete a lap.
So 5th place there for Epic the Animal, into the 126s as well. I mean, one of the Turkish boys has set a lap time at the moment, brought Alcan the 126.4. But yeah, sorry, as I was saying, I was going to say something. I can't remember exactly what I was going to say. It's completely evaded me. I'm sure it'll come back to me in just a moment. But yeah, Epic the Animal in 5th place. B29 sitting comfortably in 4th, and in the pits at the moment. Motusova about to go out on a second lap. Can he get his car in front of Imadi's? He's just 2/10 off him at the moment, and we'll follow him around these final few corners and watch him on his lap as well. I also want to hop on board with the Turkish lads who actually they're out on a lap at the moment. Let's have a look at them. Let's hop on board with Mustafa, who was closest to Imadi in that in the sprint race. He winds around the last few corners here in sector 3. But Alcan's left the session. He believes that's the best he can do, obviously. As on board with Mustafa here, what can he do through the final couple of corners? It's a 126.2 and it's just a tenth off of Imad. So still behind him in qualifying. What can Motu Solver do here? As he is going to be the next car to set a fast lap. He's in sector 2 at the moment. Let's just poor Akron, I think, actually disconnected there, unfortunately. Let's just hop on board with Motu Solver again. Motu Solver. Oh, somebody else has interrupted the top 3. It's Amir again, back in on a 126.2. So the Red Bulls haven't been able to lock up the front row this time, as Motu Solver will look to hop right in between. He's a 10th down on his original time. What can he do here? Can he interrupt the Red Bull party some more? Can he get himself onto that front row? He's got some more track to gain some time, or some more track to lose some time. What can Motu Solver do for these final couple of corners? Round into the fast section here, into the final left-hander. What's it going to be? It's a 126.2, and he's onto the front row. What a lap that was for Motu Solver, and less than a tenth behind the championship leader, Imad. Imad not showing the pace that he could show in the sprint qualifying, and it's 3/10 off his sprint qualifying time, and Motu Solver just less than a tenth off him now as he goes rally cross across the gravel in an F1 car and rushes back to that pit lane. I'm not quite sure how much time we've got left in this session. It'd be handy to know, but somebody's got to fall out in sector 3, which is very annoying. And I'm sure I'm going to spend 4 minutes left. So time for drivers like Imad to go out and set another lap time and maybe cement his pole position. And time for drivers like Amir here, who's on a quick one. Oh no, he's got this. Cal, I think, is out on track at the moment. He's on a slow lap by the looks of it. Oh no, 3/10. No, he's 3/10 up on his original time. So still in the 127s at the moment. That's through sector 1. I know it's 5 seconds on his okay, that's fair enough. Every driver then pretty much in the pit. Ultimate Stand's about to go on an out lap. I want to hop on board with some of these front runners that could potentially challenge for pole position, but I'm sure they're going to hop on. Let's hop on board with Motu Solver or Phantom Fox. Phantom Fox on that lap. He was near the top in the towards the top in the last session, in the last race. Let's hop on board with him. He looks like he's going to be the next car to set a competitive lap in this session. Hyper, what do you make of it so far? What do you think the race is going to look like?
Obviously, through the sprint and the actual race itself, we've seen quite a lot of unpredictable drivers putting in some really good times. Obviously, we've seen Mustafa before Motu Solver interrupted the party. He was, I believe, he was nearly exactly a tenth behind and getting quite close to his time. So we're actually seeing, for one of the first times here this season, Imad is actually getting shown some challenge, and someone's actually managed to show him up quite a bit.
Yeah, Imad being really put to the test here at Silverstone, and he won Bahrain pretty convincingly. Was very convincingly second in Monaco. I don't mean that because of the gap he was to the car in front. I mean that because he was still miles ahead of third place. Had so much more pace than the driver behind him at Silverstone. That's Monaco. But at Silverstone here, he's really struggling to get that gap on the drivers around him. So we're on board with Phantom Fox here. That's really less than 3 minutes now. Yeah, just under 2 minutes left in this session, so then we're going to see the final few laps of the session play out. Phantom Fox into sector 1, 3/10 down on his original time. That puts him into the 126s. Very tidy through the first sector through Beckett's and Maggots now. Closing up towards Cox, but Mike gets some dirty air from the car in front, unfortunately. He's managed to keep it tidy though. And we'll pop that de-ice flap open. Maybe get a bit of slipstream as he heads down the initial part of the straight. And we'll wind into this technical left-hander now. Nice and tidy through there. Carries on the pace again. Nice and tidy on the throttle. Let's see what he can shave off his sector 2. 2/10 down. That's sector 2. So lots of air time through the second sector. To the third sector now. Can he gain his back got a car right in front of him who has now decided to move out of the way. It's a bit of squirmy on the exit there, Phantom Fox. I don't think he's going to be in the low 126s here. I think he might just break into the 26s. Right, comes out the final corner, 126.6, moves him up to 7th, so a decent time there for Phantom Fox. Staffer will hop aboard with him as he's in Sector 1 now, and he is going to be, if anybody, the man to challenge Armadine. Let's see what he can do through Sector 1. If he can shave some time off, then the battle for pole position is on. We'll just check what Armadine is on the track as well. He's through Becky Samani, so he's going to be the first one to cross the line. Stay on board with him. See what he is capable of. See if he can shave some extra time off. Let's keep an eye on that Sector 2 time and see if he can cement his pole position. So round through onto the straight now. He's 10th up on his time. He's not going to be able to improve by the looks on it there, Hyper. Could he be under threat here from Mustafa if he can't shave some time off through Sector 3?
Well, it's going to be very interesting. Obviously, Armadi's set in a fairly quick lap as we see
Amir goes fastest, 125.9, and Imadi can't improve. His final lap complete, and a non-improvement there from Imadi as we'll hop on board with Mustafa. He's a 10th down his original time. So into Sector 3 now. What more time can he gain? What's he going to set? It's a 126.1. It's only second place for Mustafa, but the Red Bulls have swapped places. Imadi will have to settle for third as Amir takes pole position in the other Red Bull. Mustafa, 2/10 off of him. Motu Solwa onto the front row. The Williams splitting the Red Bull and the Haas and bumping Imadi down to 4th. What an end to qualifying. With 1 minute 40 remaining, a couple of cars left putting laps in. We have seen a heck of a qualifying here at the Grand Prix. And it's upsetting again for Imadi. Knocked onto the back of the second row, Hyper.
Well, I think as I was just big enough on Imadi's lap there, I think I'll bite my tongue on that one because that was very impressive. Obviously, it was his teammate. I did not expect him to set that time at all. It just shows once again how unpredictable it can be around the stable track backwards.
Yeah, I mean, Amir there, a 10th off of Imadi's sprint qualifying time. Excuse me. Yeah, it's a 10th of a sprint qualifying time, so it seems to be round about a similar pace, but Imadi just not able to find them extra 3/10 to match his sprint qualifying time. And could that be down to the a knocking confidence Hyper, as we were talking about earlier? Could that be down to the incident that we saw in the race?
Obviously, I mean, as we've seen in real life with Lewis, it's a chain of unfortunate events can really lead to some quite bad psychological damage for some of the drivers, whether it's in real life or whether we're fighting for something. Because obviously, it may not seem like it to some, but to us, it means something. And obviously, he's put so much time into building that reputation for himself and gaining all them points for himself. And obviously, he's going to try his best to maintain that. And obviously, it does look like he will do so because we obviously all know the pace that he does have. But obviously, it's quite difficult for a driver to consistently maintain it in the way that he has. And obviously, we were bound to see a mistake at some point.
Yeah, I think this has shown us that Imadi is definitely a human being. He's not some F125 pace robot. He does make the mistakes, and he does, mess up sometimes. But still on the second row, still within contention. If he can stay within that pack at the front, he's got every chance of making up some positions here. As it's raining here for the start of the race at Silverstone in reverse. That's one thing I forgot to do, was check the forecast for F1. As let's just have a look here and see. Bear with me 1 second. Weather for F1. So the weather for F1, we've got rain at the start, and then sun, and then slightly overcast conditions, bit of sun and cloud. So we will go wet to dry here in Silverstone. Will the rain clear up in enough time though, to see some dry running, I wonder. But this is going to be a messy start to the race, I feel. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And it's pedal to the metal here for the full Grand Prix. And Silverstone in reverse. Amir gets away nicely, and Motu Solver quickly into second place, a snatch in front of the Haas. And there's a couple of cars gone wide. Both Haas's gone wide, smashing through the brake board as Amir will keep his first position through the first corner. Imadi closing up onto the Haas here. There's a bit of a squabble towards the back of the pack between the cars there. Imadi can't make up the position of the Haas, and that front four stays the same through the first few corners. No DRS to aid them while the wet conditions are on. Obviously, you won't get on the first lap, the first couple of laps anyway, but through in these wet conditions, you don't get the DRS, so there's nothing to aid them but ERS and the slipstream. As we've got a swap of positions there between the McLaren and the RBS. It's a debris fly off through Magnus and Beckett's. As we head into Cops now, this could be messy with dirty air and wet conditions. Let's have a look what's going to happen here. The McLaren of Carem, closely followed by the Alpine of Ultimate Stand, who keeps out the way nice and tidy through Cops. Nowhere near as many mistakes as I thought we were going to see. One more Bugatti is getting down the path. We're not seeing any bumping going on. No, it seems to be pretty tidy. They've pretty well behaved on his first lap, bar a couple of wide entries into that first corner. So a mere 6/10 clear of Motu Solver. And Imadi and Mustafa swapping positions there. Missed that on screen. He's managed to stay in front of him for the moment. And Imadi is onto the podium. He's got past Mustafa, who we had that accident with in the sprint race. And looks to be on the charge to get towards the back of the front of the pack again, throwing that Red Bull around the Silverstone circuit and up into third place now, but a whole second of Motu Solver Piper. What a start to the race has been. What are you expecting to see?
I mean, obviously it's going to be quite unpredictable. Obviously, as we're seeing, the weather here so far has been quite unforgiving. Obviously, we've seen Imadi is already up into third and is up 3 tenths on the Haas that challenges him at the start, and he's already starting to show some pace here.
Shave that gap of 1 second, right down to 6/10 of a second now, as the Red Bull in the front appears to be holding that Williams up. Whether that's strategical or whether that's just a pace issue for the Red Bull in the front, I'm not entirely sure. But Imadi closing on that Williams and Motu Solver now. If he can get the move done cleanly, Amir and Imadi will have a battle in their hands between the two Red Bulls, or Amir might let him through as he is the championship leader. We'll see. Imadi closing up to the back of that Williams ever so slowly, but still getting there. Williams tucked up nicely behind the Red Bull. If the Williams can make the move on the Red Bull before Imadi can make a move on the Williams, it could prove interesting. Imadi moved to the right side of the track to cool his tyres down, dip back up to the racing line ahead of the corner. Closing to the back of the Williams some more, not quite as much as last time, just under a 10. Closed up that time. I think once this race dries out, we could see some real interesting strategy moves, but it's all pretty simple, smooth running at the moment. Everyone keeping their noses clean, make sure they're staying in the race as we're only 2 laps in from the 26. Imadi sets the last lap at 1:41.9 in the wet. I think it was around about half a second quicker than the car in front. Still now into 5 tenths behind the Williams. As our ultimate stand on the 3-second time penalty in the wet for the previous car between the white lines here and Silverstone in reverse. So Williams picked up a bit of gravel there, I saw, and that will compromise his run down into Beckett's here. And slow from the Williams through Beckett's and Maggots, but Imadi still can't get Piper. Did you spot something there, or?
No, to be honest, I didn't spot too much. From what I'm looking at now though, it's quite close between for 8th and 7th with B29.
Yeah, let's hop on board with that battle very quickly. We'll leave our battle for the lead as 8th and 7th for Albion and B29. I think it might be close to the gap between the pair now. We'll hop on board with our leaders, Imadi closing on the back of that Williams down the straight here. his intermediate tyres down as the rain appears to be slowing down, and the track will be drying up shortly. You get the feeling. The Williams here, although keeping it. Little Williams again is closer now to the Red Bull in front, and the Red Bull behind him is closer to him. And it's just giving it a bit of a break underneath before he goes on a second charge. Amir Aslan, 141.8, 10 faster than the fastest lap, and that clean air out in front, aiding him very nicely indeed. Imadi tidy through that first sector, 6 tenths, 7 tenths now behind second place. He'll want to get that move done pretty quickly, get himself up into second, so he can start making his teammate think about defending the championship leader. 4 laps into the 26, 22 laps to go, and it's still all to unfold here at Silverstone in reverse. As we come through Beckett's and Magnus once more. Motul Solver, nice and tidy through there. Camera angle. Chases over the curve, takes a bit of a 6-inch curve on the inside there, but it's closing on the back of that Red Bull as we come through Cops and have to watch the dirty air. Oh, the Red Bull in the lead goes wide, and there goes the Williams through into first place. Motul Solver capitalises on the Williams mistake, and Imadi up into second now. He's going to have to chase down that Williams if he wants to win. Amir there, unfortunately, has to give up first position and slot back into third place ahead of the Haas. Maybe he can do a bit of defending on Imadi's behalf and keep that Haas behind. Imadi won't want Amir attacking him now. He'll want to be moving on up towards the front of the field as the Williams a bit skew whiff into the corner there, and Imadi will close up to him nicely now. Amir, I can't believe he's thrown that away. He looks pretty comfortable out in the front of the race. No dirty air to compete with, and all of a sudden just flown wide on the circuit. A big error there from Amir there, Hyper.
Yeah, that was very close, and that could have ended quite badly. But obviously, we've seen that would be quite a shock considering they've seemed to show some pretty decent teamwork between that Haas as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's also to play for. Track is drying out here at Silverstone. I don't think we're far away from seeing a slick tyre running in the Grand Prix, as Imadi just 6 tenths off of the Williams now, trying to close up the gap. Can he undercut him? Maybe, if he can get on the slick tyres quicker. You know, the track looks bone dry to us, but it might still be a bit slick out there at the moment. Or will we start to see cars filtering to the pits at the end of this lap? DRS not enabled just yet, as Motul Solver now a second out in front of broken DRS on Imadi, who's behind him. Motul Solver come out of nowhere really in this session, and has taken the lead of the Grand Prix from Amir, who's unfortunately got the third off that little incident out of Cops. I think Hyper may have just departed us. Hyper, are you still there? We've lost Hyper for the moment, so I'm on my lonesome. So Motul Solver still out in the lead. Imadi 1 second behind him. PSR. Amir Aslan 8 tenths behind second place. And there's a bit of a gap forming between third and fourth as we stay on board of our leaders. Motul Solver into the pits, so is Imadi. So Imadi won't get the jump on strategy. B29 and Tia Mbira will move up to first and second place here as the leading cars are in the pits at the moment. The most of the pack is in the pits at the moment. Oh, we're going to see double stacking perhaps. No, it seems to be pretty evenly spaced out. On the board with Imadi again here, who is still behind Motul Solver, but now on the soft tyres. Can he make some time up on the Williams? We'll see. As Imadi out, and oh, it's very slick on exit. Struggles to keep the car in a straight line, but gets the grip in the end. The truck will have to dry first and warm up before we can see some proper fast slick tyre running. But oh, Imadi there. Is it 3 seconds? 4 seconds off of the Williams now. I'm not sure what happened in the pits there, but he's got a massive amount of time to the Williams, and he's going to have a lot of work to tie that gap back up. B29 is 90 seconds clear of third place. It's about a 30-second stop here at Silverstone. So unfortunately, I think he's going to have lost some time from where he was, staying out that extra lap on the intermediate tyres. Maybe he wasn't feeling quite brave enough to go onto the slicks. But we'll see. 18 seconds clear of Mutusolva now. We'll keep an eye on where B29 comes back out, as Timo Vera in front of him is boxed. Now B29 will box as well. Timo Vera has left the session. He's decided to leave. Mustafa has rejoined. I think we've had a few disconnects along the way. Hyper is still disconnected. Let's see if I can invite him back very quickly. That's apparently my invitation. Okay, well this is all going a bit pear-shaped here at Silverstone, much like I'm a D sprint race. But Motosolva is your race leader at the moment. 4.5 seconds clear of the championship leader, I'm a D. Wes is just 1.8 seconds off of I'm a D here as well. It's worth noting that Motosolva is on mediums, IMD is on the hard tyre, so IMD will be able to go longer. Maybe he's thinking of going to the end on their hard tyres perhaps. Maybe a little bit too early, but I'm sure he'll try it. He's got it in him to carry out a strategy like that. So Bora Alkan is coming up to third at the moment. He has got a penalty on them one lap old mediums, but this is the true running order at the moment, you feel. Staff all the way down to 14th. I think he has disconnected, unfortunately, and that has ruined his race. But Bora Alkan, the highest Turkish runner in this race. Amir Aslan, who was running in the podium positions at one point, is now down to, was 6th, now 5th. He has moved up, he's back down to 6th again. Stay on board with that battle as the RB and the Red Bull are battling it out, and the Red Bull does go round the outside of the RB in the end and get the position. He's now going to chase down Wes, who's 2.5 seconds on the road. Wes is 6/10 off of the McLaren of Bora Alkan. He could get himself onto the podium here, Wes. And I'm a D not gaining any time on Motorsport at the moment. So lots of racing to do here at Silverstone. But yeah, nothing developing quite yet after the boxes. I'll try and invite my commentary partner back to the box, and apparently I don't even have him as an EA friend, so that's great. That's great stuff. So yeah. Right, so staying tuned in. Unfortunately, Hyper there, family emergency, so he's had to go. So I am on my lonesome for the rest of this race. We've got a whole 18 laps left to go here of Silverstone running, and it's all yet to unfold as Imadi has dropped back massively from Motosolva, who started second on the grid. Imadi starting fourth, so he has gained 2 positions, but the championship leader will be wanting to win this race. Locks up there into the final few corners. It's the McLaren of Bora Alkan, 2.5 seconds off him, and Wes just 0.8 off of the McLaren as well. Motosolva is a new fast stat, 1:29.5, and Imadi can't improve on that, but like I say, it is on the harder tyre, so slower at the moment, but will last longer. And if he can take these tyres to the end, he might be able to scrape a victory through here if he doesn't lose too much more time in the meantime. If he can sort of get close to that Williams before they box again, he may be able to take his time to the end and survive that sort of 20-second window that he's got to the car, that 20-second window that he'd have to Motosolva if the Williams was to box. So yeah, like I say, currently on my own at the moment, no Hyper to bounce off, so it's all got a bit much at the moment. A lot of race to commentate on for one person, but we'll try our best. We'll try and cover it all. We'll hop on down towards the back of the pack at the moment. Let's just see if any backers are following. B29, 5/10 off of a McLaren of Karam. they lead on the McLaren. We'll see as a caution in sector 2. Where that was from. Okay, I'm a D. Now 5.3 seconds off the leader, so dropping time to Williams out in front. But you have to say, once the Williams go off, will he gain that time back? Let's see. Best DRS there with a 3-second time penalty. Cuts up the track there. He's closing up on the back of Ultimate Stan now. Can he get him onto the hanger straight? Will he dive down the inside? Would have been a bit of contact now. They keep it nice and clean. Takes a lot of curves on the until the first corner complex there. And we'll go up onto the inside as they lead onto the hanger straight. Will he be able to keep it up there? Who's going to get the DRS? It will be the King Sauber car. And move on up to the World Rank of 11th place and 3.7 seconds off of Kizzy. This Evan Animal here is just 3/10 off of the Rebel of Amir. Amir, who was running in first place at the start of this race, now all the way down in 5th and under pressure from the Ferrari of Epic the Animal, who I'm sure is going to chase it down the F2 division. Commentator along with CJ is pushing hard. I'm going to try and overtake that Red Bull. Ferrari will want those extra points. Let's stay on board for just a moment. From the Mercedes on the tyre, and now the clear as well. I'm a deep stuck to slowly, ever slowly into that lead of the Williams. 5.2 behind now, doing need about 10, but it's moving out, dropping more time. And we'll hop on board with him and we'll look at his lap data as well, because that gives us a good inclination of where he's at time-wise, I think. 5.1 behind now, 5 seconds behind now. It's the corners where he'll lose out, I think. But no, around about 5 seconds, so he is eating into the lead of Motorsolver in the Williams at the moment. He's only a 10th up on his 10th slower than his fastest time. CJ there, 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings on the track limits there as Motorsolver. He's 5/10 slower than his fastest lap time. Armady only 600 seconds slower than his fastest lap time, so he's gaining time. Armady now into the, well, he was into 4.9 seconds away from the leader there for just a moment. Now Amir with a 3-second time penalty. The time penalty is a really long pop up now as we near half race distance. Motusol was still your leader here from second place on the grid up to first. Is the driver out in front and is going to try and withstand the onslaught from Imadi. I do wonder what Imadi is going to do here. Maybe his best shot would be to do double stop off the intermediates onto the hards and see if he can just withstand the time with the laps remaining. I mean, as it stands, if he was to Motusol was to box, then that would be 14 laps. To recuperate a gap of around about 15 seconds, which sounds doable, but any later, and I'm a D, would be sort of in the prime position to hold on, or to hold on to first place if he was to stay out on the one stop. Obviously their tyres are the same ages at the moment. You have to say that the mediums are probably good for about 2/3 of what the hards can do, I would say, as a whole. Maybe half the length of the hards can do, depending on the compounds. Sort of rounds up and goes to the half race distance now. Lap 13 out of 26. Still your race leader. Still 5 whole seconds clear of Motorsolver in the Williams. Keep it engaging for you guys. We've got Gagley here who's closing in on the back of Karem. Calabassi. 5 tenths behind the McLaren, and closing the gap right up there through the first corner complex. And almost falls up behind there, lose out a bit of time as they come onto the hanger straight and be looking to gain some time in the DRS zone. It's clear where they're running has really changed the race up. It's made it much smoother. Not too many incidents here in the F1 race at the moment, apart from in the sprint when we saw Ahmadi collide with Mustafa and end up in the tyre wall in the arm coat. So yeah, at the moment Gagli 4 tenths, nearly 5 tenths behind the McLaren of Karem Calabassi, and the Aston Martin of B29 closing up to the back of the RB car as well. There's some changes, I think, from left field. Amir and Epic, the animals swapping positions there, and Epic's going to try and fight back against Amir again and get himself up to 5th maybe. He's going to have to sit behind that RB car, that Red Bull car for the moment, as they swing their cars around the final few corners of the lap, and they'll be heading on to lap number 15, or lap number 14, sorry. Full sets off of the Red Bull. The Red Bull in front is being aided by the DRS on Wes. So I don't think Epic will get Amir as interesting as it is by the end of the race, because he's about 3 seconds ahead. Both in the same tyre compound as well, so no tyre advantage for either car. Wes though, on the hard tyre, he has the advantage because he is in front of Amir with a bit of clean, tiny little bit of clean air. He's on the harder tyre, which will last longer. Ahmadi now below 5 seconds to the car in front. Really interesting to see what the Williams driver does out in front, as he is on the mediums. I doubt they'll go for his distance. The hards could if you nurse them properly. There's all sorts going on all over the place. Trying to do it on my own is proving difficult, but we're plugging away with it as the Red Bull now of Amir closing in on Wes, just 2 tenths off the Mercedes, and can't make the move just yet. It looks like the Red Bull might get the Mercedes before the Ferrari can get the Red Bull, and so we're going around the final few corners. Gagli's been overtaken by both Karem and B29 now, so he's down to 9th. B29 up to 8th, and just a second off of Karem there as well. On the hard tyre, it's worth noting, pushed them a little less somehow. A lap less than the medium, so a 1 lap tyre deficit to the car in front. See if there's any moves coming down the hanger straight here from any of the cars. The Ferrari looking closer to the Red Bull this time than the Red Bull is to the Mercedes, but no moves can be made. The Red Bull does back into that gap that Mercedes have led on him. Ahmadi is 4.5 seconds off of the Williams now. Can he spot the Williams coming into the section ahead? Not quite. I don't think he can see him in his sights just yet. That will be such a motivation though to Ahmadi once he can see him, as he appears to be eating quite a bit now into the lead of the Williams. 4.3 seconds off the leader as we check in on our leader and see how he's doing for traction at this moment in time. Pretty tidy around a couple of corners there, and yeah, so it looks to be coping okay, but is having time eaten out of him by Ahmadi now. Amir back on with him. He is going to dive into the pits and go on to his second stint. Oh, just about gets it slowed down. Bucks the wall on my screen. Might have lost a bit of time entering the pit lane there. B29 now up to 5th position. I think we've got a few cars in the pit, so we do. Williams into the pit, so Ahmadi back into the lead of the race. Let's see how far behind Mo to Solver comes out from Ahmadi here. It looks like he's going to come out in some clean air, Williams. So that'll be handy for him. He is round about just over 20 seconds behind IMD. So if IMD can stay out on these hard tyres for the next 10 laps, you know, most soldiers will have to gain 2 seconds a lap in order to catch him. It's going to be a hard task, and if anybody can do it, IMD can do it. Staying out on these hard tyres, I think he might have the resilience to do it. So let's just keep on board with some battles here. It's B39 just 4/10 behind Karem again now on the fresher hards, and Karem's got mediums. And if he can stay out, he might be able to get himself. If he can stay out, he might be able to get himself onto the podium here as well with Epic and Karem. Possibly still to box. We'll see. As B29 closing in, and B29 going to box in behind Karem. Maybe should have stayed out. Relax his tyres. You know, still a lap younger than the mediums. Was gaining time as well in that little phase there. So IMD out in front at the moment, and Battleman Ozchan has been given a 10-second time penalty as cars moving about all over the places. Cars dipping in and out of the pit lane. But IMD is your race leader. He is a whole. Crikey, he's a whole 23 seconds clear, or 21 seconds clear, 20 seconds clear now. I think right about 21 seconds clear of the Williams. So that Williams is going to have to gain more than 2 seconds a lap in the last sort of 9 laps or so here in order to catch him. I think IMD is going to stay out, and he might have just played the perfect strategy call here to get himself back into the lead of this race, and you know, get the maximum points again to help his championship hunt after a disappointing sprint here in Silverstone. He seems to have regathered himself very nicely, and is showing off what sort of pace he's got for it as well. So let's just stay on board with him for a moment being while we just work out where the closest gaps are amongst the field. But most of the field looks to be relatively spread out off those pit stops. Actually, we'll hop on board with a couple of McLaren boys here. See who might end up fighting. We have two territory sides here. Just 4/10 to separate them. For Alcan on 1 lap old mediums and Karem on 0 lap old mediums. So 1 lap tied out to Gaggy 10-second time penalty for him. He's now decided to retire from the session. And that is going to be him out of the top 5. But he was on the hard tyre. So to retire there from the session, which is unfortunate for him. Emir with a 128.8 goes fastest. Motu Solver now up to 3rd place. He is a whole 19 seconds off the lead, but I'm sure he'll be chomping at the bit to close the gap. He may well catch Wes by the end of this race, but the battle with Wes could well hold him up and secure IMD the victory here. We've got 8 laps to go here at Silverstone in reverse, and we're on board with Motu Solver, who is chasing down. He's on the podium, but he's going to be looking for that race win. He's got lots of clean air ahead of him, which will aid him in his chase, but he needs to start making up some quality time now in order to make this strategy work. Hop on board with Epic Animal Break. As you see, he's very close to the Red Bull in front of him. In DRS, gonna come down the inside. It's a difficult corner to overtake on, but he's done it. Can he get the traction out of it now? He does, and he'll get the place up into 8th on the soft tyre with 6 laps to go. He's making moves, Epic the Animal, and he's going to be closing on CJ8 on this 12 roll cards anytime soon. CJ, I think, decided to play the long game as well, as he has got a penalty. I think it's only 3 seconds of track limits, but he's decided to play the long game. Maybe he thinks it's the best way to maximise his points here today. As the Williams now just 18 seconds off IMD with 7 laps to go. It's all heating up as Epic Animal just 2 seconds off CJ here. Chopping away the 2 commentary boys for the F2 division. I don't think CJ's going to hold him up too much here. He dives down the inside, Epic, and it looks like he's going to get the move done or not. No, CJ's just going to tuck in behind him very nicely there and just hold on to what he's got. not going to fight too hard. I think he realises that he is a little bit too slow to battle with Epic on the soft compound. I think he's going to struggle against Amir on the medium as well. He could drop a few more places here, CJ, but he has got DRS to defend himself. He's going to let the Red Bull go down the inside. So he's down to 90 now, CJ. But still solid points in the LP, a team who have struggled with moments so far this season. Motu is 9 seconds off of Wes now. Wes 8 seconds off of Imad, who is still flying out in front, and looks like he might have this one in the bag. I hope those tyres aren't getting too slippery just yet though. 6 laps to go, and it's going to be tight towards the end here, although I don't think that Motu Solver will actually be able to catch him. He's 17 seconds off of the lead, and with 6 laps to go, doesn't look like he's going to get there. He's struggled for pace in this second stint, Motu Solver, on the mediums. 4 laps old now, and not looking too much more pacey than the hard tyre of Imad, as we'll hop on board with Epic the Animal again as he closes up to Besteris now on the old hard tyres. The soft compound looks to be a good choice. Whether it will go the full 9 laps and be pacey still, I'm not entirely sure. But he's past Besteris and up into 5th position now. He'll go on the hunt for Mustafa on the 14-lap old hard tyres. 6 seconds off of him with 6 laps to go. It's doable. It's certainly doable for Epic the Animal, who is hunting down the 4th place position. Not going to get on the podium by the looks of it, but may well be able to get 4th place in this race. As we'll go behind again here as Amir gets in front of Besteris. CJ down to 10th now as Bora Alcan's got him as well. Looks like Karem might be in the hunt for him as well here. Look how much traction he's got on the exit compared to CJ. And CJ might be bumped down to 11th pretty quickly here as well. Maybe a poor CJ to go on the stop where he was in the race. He tried it, I'm going to give it to him, he tried it, but unfortunately it does not look like it's good to have worked here in this race. It's almost still 8 seconds off of Wes, who's on 15-lap old hard tyres. Motorsolver's not able to string the laps together at the moment to bear down time. 14 seconds off the race leader with 5 laps to go. Looks like Imad has all but wrapped this up here. As Epic the Animal hunting down still the 4th position on the grid, but he's also got the Red Bull of Amir hunting him down. Just 5/10, 4/10 behind him, and chasing him down into the into Beckett's and Maggots here. Sector 2, and about to go around reverse tops. Can the Red Bull keep it on track in the dirty air? I wonder. We'll see. Yeah, he does. Nice and tidy from Amir, and keeps it on track and keeps it in the hunt for Epic Animal. He is going to have the best tyres come the end of this stint. Amir, as Epic is on the soft tyre, which obviously degrade much quicker. Amir managed to stick a wheel at the inside, just slightly put Epic off his line, and will have a worse run at the straight now because of that. Epic, he doesn't look like he's going to catch 4th place in the end with 4 laps to go. But now, just 13 seconds off the lead is Motu Solver. I think he realises maybe that a medium tyre was not the choice for him. He maybe should have stuck on that hard tyre and just stuck it out to the end. Imad has gained all that time back, and it looks like he's going to stay out on this one stop and keep in the lead as we caution out in sector 2. I'm not quite sure who that was. We've got a caution out. Green flags now. So that seems to be all resolved. Just 12 seconds between Motu Solver now and Imad. 4 laps to go. He's going to have to gain 3 seconds a lap. If he wants to catch him, it's just not going to happen, really. Let's just check in on Imad and see what he is setting at the moment. He's come through sector 2. Let's just keep on board with him and see what he says. His movement at the back of the field as Phantom Fox drops to last and bumps into the pits for some soft tyres. Going to try and set the fastest lap of the race on them softs, I'm sure. Imad winds around the final few corners here. Just 10 seconds off of 10 seconds in front of Motu Solver now, with coming up to 3 laps to go. Let's see what lap time he set. It's going to be a 1:33 1:03.1 for Imadi. 3 seconds off his best time. For Motu Solva, what's he going to set? It's going to be a 1:29.6, so he is a whole pretty much 3 seconds faster than Imadi. So this could come down to the very last lap. There's just 9 seconds in it now with 3 laps to go. He's going to have to keep his foot to the floor, Motu Solva, if he wants to try and challenge for the lead of this race. It could come down to the very final lap, but that Williams going pedal to the metal down the hanger straight now in order to try and catch him. It's all lighting up towards the end of the race again here, as Epic the Animal is still within 5/10 of Amir, but still he's going to be able to catch him as those soft tyres die out and the mediums come into play. Could be a tricky end to the race for Epic, as B29 is 3 seconds off of him as well. If they drop off hard, B29 could be in for a 6th position here against Epic the Animal. There's just 8 seconds to gap now between Motu Solva and Imadi, the leader. Motu Solva, of course, giving up that lead to go onto the medium tyre. He went medium to medium and has not so far reaped the rewards for it, but 8 seconds, 3 laps to go. He's going to have to keep eating away into that lead of Imadi's. Will he be able to do it? I'm not entirely sure. If he does do it though, it is going to come down to the very final lap, and Imadi's not going to have much rubber to fight with. It's going to be very similar to what we've seen in Hungary in real life Formula 1 at the weekend. Lando Norris managed to fend off Oscar Piastri with 5 laps to go, with 13 lap older hard tyres from what Piastri was on. Imadi at the moment 7 seconds clear of Motu Solva with 2 laps to go. It looks like he's got it in the bag, Imadi, as Motu Solva is just coming onto the hanger straight now as Imadi exits it. It is very close. It's round about 6 seconds the gap now between the 2 cars with 2 laps to go. Still needs to be 3 seconds a lap quicker, Motu Solva, if he wants to have any spot in this. He's 1.6 seconds on the second place though. He'll be looking for maximum points in this. He may just get the Mercedes, the battle with the Mercedes may just hold him up enough to secure Imadi's win, but it's all coming down to the very final moments here. We're on board with Motu Solva as he chases down Wes in the Mercedes. Not quite in DRS yet, but getting there as he urges closer in the braking zone. That extra grip going to help him out of the traction zone here, onto the straight and into the final few corners. Motu Solva on this 8-lap old mediums, 10-lap older hards for Wes and Imadi. Let's see what these medium tyres can do in the closing phase of the race. It's going to be tight. It's going to be a grandstand finish. It looks like it's going to be around about 5 seconds the gap. With 2 laps to go, we're going to have to be 2.5 seconds a lap. Imadi here. We're going to have to get past the Mercedes from Motu Solva first. If he can stay this close, he might just get it down the hang straight and dispatch him very nicely without too much fighting. And if he can get underway, try and chase Imadi coming into his final couple of corners. Down to quickly dirty air, coming to the hanger straight here, but we'll get DRS. That DRS one is going to pop open. The Mercedes is going to have to bow out the way of the Williams. So the Williams dumps past him and gets clear of it before Legacy Magnus. And gets the move done. Very tidy from Motu Solva, who's up into second place and is now in the chase for Imadi. Just 3.5 seconds off of the Scotsman, the flying Scotsman out in front. He's got some defending to do, I feel, Imadi. With just around about a lap and a half remaining, this could come down to the wire in the Silverstone Grand Prix, the British Grand Prix here at Silverstone in reverse. He's going to have to eat some major time off that. Scrape some major time off between now and the end of this lap though if he wants any chance of fighting him on the final lap. 2.9 the gap now. Imadi chasing him down in the hunt for the Flying Scotsman. Motu Solva in the hunt now for the Flying Scotsman, sorry. As Imadi trying to keep the composure out in front. He's already bottled 1 lead here today in the sprint, coming together with Mustafa, who sits 4th in this race. He ended up in the Armco that time. This time 2.3 seconds going into the final lap. It might just be enough for Imadi to see this race through on the 20-lap old hard tyres on this 50% race. He's taken these tyres 20 out of the 26 laps. Takes a lot of curb through the exit of the first corner complex there, and now has to keep it nice and tidy coming onto the hanger straight. Just 1.8 seconds the gap, and that Williams hunting the Red Bull down. 1.5 seconds now onto the hanger straight, dumping a lot of battery, I feel. Not much battery left for him. Let's hop on board with Imadi, see how much battery he's got left to defend with. About the same. It's going to be very tight. 1.4 seconds to gap. Obviously, Motor isn't going to have to compete with some dirty air through pops, but if he can fend it off, he's going to be very close by the end of this back straight. 1.3 seconds to gap. He's going to dump some battery. That's not going to close too much. He's going to go back to 1.4. Can he get some time back under braking here? Motu Solver. He's getting a little bit desperate. 1.9, 1.1 of a second. 1 seconds to gap though. That's under a second now. 9/10 of a second behind Imadi. Can he get close enough before the end of this race? Imadi blinking away in front of him. But then Williams not much too better off behind him. As Imadi winds around the final few corners now, it looks like he might have just got away with this. As the Williams will get better traction out the final corner. Can he dump enough energy to get the traction? No. He's not going to have the speed. Going to hop on board with Imadi as he crosses the line and gets the victory here at the British Grand Prix. Silverstone on his home circuit, he gets the win. The championship leader with maximum points again here. A fantastic race, taking the hard tyres 21 of the 26 laps in this race and fending off the car behind, who was on 10 lap younger mediums, and in the end finishes just 9/10 ahead of him after a 21-second gap as they exited the pits. Motu Solver comes home in second. Wes in third, who gets his first podium of the season, I believe. Mustafa in fourth. Epic in fifth. B29 in sixth, a great result for him. Bora Alkan in seventh. Karem in eighth. PSR Emir Aslan in a dismal ninth after qualifying first on the grid and carrying the first few laps in first in the wet and eventually going wide and losing those positions. Kizzy in 10th, CJ in 11th, some half decent points for him. Batuana Ozchun down in 12th and will round off the rest of the grid in just a moment's time. But what a race that was. Unfortunately, don't have my partner Piper here to round that up with me. But what a race, what a finish. Imadi, the Flying Scotsman, with the win here again, and will extend his lead at the top of the championship ahead of Wes the Dutchman and ahead of the second place Williams as well, ahead of the Williams in second place, the Dutchman, and ahead of the Mercedes as well of Wes. So Imadi, your race victor here on the podium to celebrate, and so we will quickly just check through the results. Driver of the day goes to B29 with a great race there. Cleanest driver also to B29. Imadi wins the race. First place for him. Then Mustafa, Motu Solver, Epic, Wes, PSR Bora Alkan. We've got Amir, B29, Gagli, Kizzy, Karem, Phantom, PSR, Tioman, Bera, CJ down to 14th after them penalties, unfortunately for him. Sorry, that's the weekend results. We want the race results. We've missed out on that. That's just what happens when you're trying to do things on your own, I suppose. But yeah, what a race that was. It's been a pleasure to commentate it on again. We will be back next week for Austria in reverse. That should be a very entertaining race, a very quick circuit. So plenty of room for overtaking and plenty of room for DRS trains as well. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you very much for tuning in here this evening on the TFR eSports channel. Like I say, we will be back next Monday for the Austrian Grand Prix in reverse. Thank you very much.